Hello, it's me, Larcel, and I'm back with small doses. This week, we've been seeing a lot in the news about Juneteenth. And so some of my friends and I were talking about Juneteenth and what we thought, how we felt about uh, this surge of popularity and information about Juneteenth. Well, I shared that I personally preferred Juneteenth when it was our little secret. It was the thing that African Americans around the country celebrated, but it didn't get a lot of public notoriety. I liked it better that way because it was something that we as African Americans have that we didn't have to share with anybody else. It didn't matter to me that other people didn't know or care about or acknowledge Juneteenth for several reasons, and I will express why I preferred it to be our little secret. The first one is that so many things that African Americans have that we've created or that we embrace or things that we are good at, it becomes appropriated by everybody else. And then they make money on it and off of African Americans who will go and purchase things from other people who really don't have a right or an entitlement to things that are ours. So I prefer Juneteenth being small in our own individual communities, among our own people, where we get together and we cook out and we have our vendors who, it's by us for us. It's Black vendors selling things that they have created to Black people who can appreciate it. It's us sharing our stories and our music and our love for each other in our own way. And I like that. It doesn't have any corporate flavor to it. No corporation has come in and sponsored it and taken it over yet. And so when you buy that t-shirt with Juneteenth on it, chances are it was made and produced and created by a Black person. When you're buying that fish sandwich at that Juneteenth event, it's fried and, by a Black vendor. So I like the fact that it was ours and it was for us by us. I like the fact that we have our own Independence Day, independent of America and its Independence Day. Now, you can celebrate 4th of July if you want to. I personally don't. I've been celebrating Juneteenth since the early 90s when I first really learned the history of it myself. So, I like that it was our little secret because what I fear is now that it's public and now that you have senators writing to make it a national holiday, I don't like that because you have a lot of people who are going to take that holiday off, get paid, and not care anything about the story of Juneteenth, the history of it. It won't mean anything to them but a day not working and getting paid for it. I personally don't like that. However, if it happens, it happens. But it's also another day when large corporations will swoop in and it'll just become a catchphrase and it'll be a reason to have a sale at a furniture store. And it'll be a reason for someone to make a big sale where they mark up something 500% and take 50% off, and you think you're getting a deal for Juneteenth. I also don't like it because when that happens, those Black vendors that I spoke of earlier, who create the t-shirts and the earrings and the other things that we buy when we go to Juneteenth celebrations, those people become overlooked because we have a tendency to like things that are packaged nicely, as only large corporations can afford to do when they have things mass produced and packaged. So it's frustrating to me. But that's my opinion. We all have our opinion about these things. You know, we have to be careful about what happens to our history as we introduce it to other people. Because sometimes people will take your history and they will pretend to care about it and be enthusiastic and excited about your history, our history, and then it'll just get dismissed. It'll become watered down. Perfect example, all the things that we know about Martin Luther King Jr., the many, many speeches that he wrote and delivered, how he has been reduced to a dream. Most people don't even know about the letter from a Birmingham jail or any of his other great works that he gave us. America, who didn't care about the Reverend King when he marched and protested, to fight against hunger, to fight against poverty, to get people their rights, to bring attention to the plight of Black America. They told him, stop marching and you're a troublemaker. You even had African Americans who did not support him or think that he was doing things right. But in death, now he's the great dreamer. And that's all people know about the Reverend Martin Luther King. So we have to be careful with our history and what happens with it when it gets into the hands of the masses, when everybody pretends to be interested and pay attention, because they'll cherry pick it and just use the parts that they want that make them feel good. So that's just my take on that. We've also this week been talking about the Black Lives Matter mural painted into the streets now. The very first one that was done in Washington, D.C., I thought it was amazing. I thought it was wonderful. And I thought it was a great gotcha back at the guy who is the, person who lives at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. I thought it was wonderful that it was a response to his calling out troops on American citizens for their peaceful protests. And I loved it that it was on the street, that he can't miss it every time Marine One flies him out of there. He has to see it unless he closes his eyes. And so now all across the country, other cities and towns are painting Black Lives Matter on the streets. While I think it's cool, it's cute, I like the way some of them look, again, the message is going to be lost because some people are going to feel like, oh, well, they're okay now because we've painted Black Lives Matter on the street. And some people will be placated and pacified by that action and not receive anything for it. So as we fight for attention for Black Lives Matter, what's going to be lost? It's painted on the street. It's beautiful. You really can only see it from an aerial view. So as you're walking on it, you don't know what it looks like. What are we giving up with this? Because, after our country elected our first Black president, you heard so many people say, well, it's post-racist America now. We've had a Black president. And a senator recently said, they don't need reparations because we gave them a Black president. So we have to be really careful about being satisfied so easily. I've been saying since all of the marching and the protesting after George Floyd was murdered, I've been saying everybody in your camp is not on your team. Everybody who's standing with you doesn't share your thoughts and beliefs. It's been evidenced by video of so many young white people who are marching alongside all of the people of color, all of the Black people who are standing and fighting for Black Lives Matter. They have so much video footage of young white people breaking windows, spray painting on buildings. And on one video in particular, a young Black lady looks at this woman and she says, hey, she's not even Black. And the woman looks at her and says, hey, I'm supporting Black Lives Matter. And the lady says, hey, but we didn't ask you to do that because you know what? When this is all over and they look at it, they're going to say we black people damaged this building and defaced this building. So we have to be really careful about who we allow in our circles. You need to vet everybody that's coming on board because, again, everybody that's in your camp is not on your side. Everybody who is saying, let's make Juneteenth a national day to celebrate. Do we really want everybody to celebrate Juneteenth with us? Think about that. Think about it. I really don't want some people to have a day off their job to celebrate Juneteenth because at the end of the day, they don't care about Juneteenth and they don't care about you and they don't care about me or any of the things that we do because if they cared, it wouldn't still be our little secret. So, but now the secret's out. People know. Tell me in the comments what you think about Juneteenth becoming a national holiday. Tell me in the comments what you think about painting the Black Lives Matter murals on the streets around our country. I'm curious to know what you think. I've told you what I think about these things. So what I would like for you to do now is click like if you're on YouTube or if you're on Instagram or Facebook and you see this video. And please leave comments. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel, L.C.Johnson. And again, this has been Small Doses. It's been great talking to you guys and enjoy your Juneteenth. Bye.